few days ago I cleaned my sister's car, her RAV4. I did not record the decontamination wash and all that fun stuff, the wheels and tires. I started with the interior and then proceeded on to the paint correction. So at this point the car's been thoroughly washed. Starting off with some sticker removal. The car had a couple inspection stickers which I was told could be removed. So I'm using my trusty Lyle razor there. I have a link in the description. It's a really nice tool. Made short work of those stickers. Came off very easily. Just be careful you're not leaning on it to do any damage to the car if you slip. A few little pieces to remove there. A little bit of sticker. And then finally 3M adhesive remover and a paper towel to get rid of all the residue. So here we have the floor mats removed. Started with them. Vacuuming to remove any of the large debris. I just have a Craftsman shop vac. Notice that one of those floor mats I think needs replacing. So first vacuum, then back with some Meguiar's all-purpose cleaner, 10-to-1. And did a little bit of scrubbing by hand. Just have kind of a stiff interior carpet type brush and some APC to kind of try to lift some of the stains. Saturated it a little bit more and then used my power brush. It's basically the drill brush with an adapter for your dual action. I think holding it with a dual action polisher like that is much easier than using a DeWalt rechargeable drill. It's just easier to keep pressed down and in contact with the carpet. I don't like using a drill. I think it's kind of awkward to do. And another pass. The driver's side floor mat is of course the dirtiest one, so I did a few passes there. Some of those stains are permanent, but it did freshen it up just a little bit. Remove some of the easy stains. And just using some cheap microfiber towels to mop up the dirt. You're going to see dirt come up on the towel for sure, and the remaining residue, so you're sort of drying them out as well. I did not get out an extractor for this job. I just sort of used the towel to wipe it up. Even got out the Meguiar Super Degreaser because I thought it would have a better chance of lifting some of those stains. So I did a round with Super Degreaser, and it's a little more powerful than your Meguiar's APC. I'll have a link to both of those products in the description. I use Meguiar Super Degreaser mixed 4-to-1. And here I am attacking the other floor mat. Again, none of the other ones were nearly as bad as the driver's one. So they cleaned up pretty good, but there's just a little bit of brown staining, just a little bit of dirt that after enough time just sort of becomes permanent. But if nothing else, you're kind of freshening them up, getting rid of any mustiness or anything like that. So the car is going to definitely smell better after attacking all those carpet fibers with a good cleaner. Here I even dug out the Super Clean, kind of trying everything I could think of. Because different kinds of stains react differently to different chemicals. The next place I went was the rear hatch area. I kind of worked back to front. So here I am sitting in the back of the car, spraying down with Meguiar's APC, wiping down with some microfiber towels. Mostly just superficial dirt. There was not a lot of scrubbing involved here. Just built up dirt that came off pretty easily. Trying to get all the nooks and crannies there. Discovered these little containers on each side. So I removed those doors, cleaned them, and kind of cleaned a little bit of dust off the floor. You can see in the little pocket there. There's a nice little storage area there. Figure if you can see it, clean it. I was trying to figure out how that some little door kind of access panel went in there, so I had to look on the other side real briefly. Put all the little light bulbs back in there, and put it all back together. The back of the door was a little bit dirty, so I cleaned it up a little bit. Okay, just kind of cleaning some of the vinyl at the bottom there. And here I am swinging the seats forward. These seats are easy to flip forward and even pretty easy to remove, so I wanted full access to the carpeting and the bottom of those seats. They probably have never been cleaned. So here I am, everything that just got revealed by moving those seats, I'm going to clean it now. So the little bit of kind of over the wheel well there, and the bottom of the vinyl seats. And here's the passenger side. And again, this was all superficial dirt, no real scrubbing or any drama trying to get it clean, just wiping down with a microfiber towel and Meguiar's APC. Even before dressing the vinyl, everything started looking much better. And giving the rear a good vacuuming. With everything removed from the car, it's very easy to pick up the edge of the carpeting and clean around the edges. I like to kind of be thorough there. Of course, some grit and grime is going to make its way past the edge of the carpet, so I like to pick up the edges and clean that up. And this part actually did stay pretty clean. There hasn't been a whole lot of grimy stuff hauled around in the back there. The carpeting is in very, very good condition, so just a real thorough vacuuming. And again, being able to clean under those seats is nice. The fact that they flip forward and out of the way. And this is just more of a freshening up step. There weren't any big stains I was trying to remove. Just kind of spraying the APC to kind of freshen up the carpet a little bit. Kind of gives that car a fresh smell. And just finishing up the other side. Got a long hose on there, so I just kind of stretch it through the car, doing everything I can reach from the other side. You notice I am wearing the black nitrile gloves. They kind of keep the chemicals off your hands, the grit and grime out of your hands, but also keeps your oils from your hands or your sweat from getting all over the car accidentally. So I'm just kind of finishing up vacuuming the right hand side there. And the spray, just a nice quick clean and freshen it up a little. If you've got a car that's a little bit musty, sometimes that APC will just kind of remove some of that and give it a nice clean smell. Now that we've cleaned that rear area, we can shine it up. You can see how good that VRP does, the Chemical Guys VRP, at shining up that black vinyl. Vinyl just gets, faded and a little bit dull, and look how nice and rich and dark that looks, just wiping it on there. It'll last for a couple weeks. You want to kind of refresh it once in a while, but it goes on very easily, looks nice and even, and just really makes all the difference. Cleaning it is nice, but if we don't dress it, we just aren't going to get that shine. And it's going to protect it from UV, from fading, and you definitely want to follow up with that. I think that the APCs can sort of dry out some of the vinyl, leave it even a little bit kind of dull. So we want to kind of replenish any of that moisture that we've removed. And that vinyl dressing, I think, is an important step. And here I had to go back with my interior brush. You can see that I'm cleaning a little vent area down there that I had missed. So real quick clean up there. Those interior brushes, those soft brushes, I'll link them in the description. They're phenomenal for being able to scrub and yet not being so harsh that they're going to scratch up any of your vinyl or plastic. They're just right. So finishing up that area, and onto the right side, using my APC and my microfiber towel, giving a quick wipe down. All those nooks and crannies around that door. And move anything you need to clean, whether that's a seat belt or a tie down or a little cargo carrier or something. This is very easy to clean. There's just a few cracks there. See around that little access panel. the brushes are just perfect for that. They kind of get all the little specks and little grit out of there. They can really make it seem dirty even when it's just a little speck of dirt. So you want to go after those details, get all those specks of dirt out of the cracks. And the side has a little access panel too, so pop that off and cleaned just a little bit of dust that had settled there, as well as the access door itself. Clean up very easily, doesn't get very dirty inside there. Put everything back together. And again, the towel's great, but it will not get into the nooks and crannies. You've got to have those brushes to get in all the corners. There's just no way you'll miss a lot of dirt if you don't have a brush. There's only so much you can jam that towel into a corner to get dirt out of there. And put that back together. So here we're going to come back with the Chemical Guys VRP. This stuff is great on interiors. It's also great on the tires. And I first bought the 16 ounce and eventually bought a gallon, and I fill it up from there. It's really good stuff. Just evens everything out really nicely. Next up was the inside of that rear hatch, that rear door. Just a nice big vinyl area there. And sprayed the whole thing with APC. Had to work a little bit fast because it was warm out, and you don't want that stuff evaporating, or I should say drying on the surface. And I'm using my interior stiff bristle brush here. And if you need to add more product, you can. And topped off some VRP. Some of those scuffs I tried using a magic eraser and it didn't really do anything. I didn't want to get aggressive, so I just called it good and applied the VRP. So there we are, kind of shining that up. Again, the VRP is just great. It's not going to look like new. Some of those, not sure what those scuffs are, but those rear doors do get scuffed if you haul things around in the back and they bang into it. It's pretty normal. And finally, moving on to the back seat area. For this car, I chose to work back to front. So, starting on the left side, or the driver's side, vacuuming the floor and the seats as needed. Sorry, I'm in the way a little bit. I could have picked a better camera position. But here I am sort of carrying the camera along so you can kind of see what I'm seeing there. Getting all the crevices between the seat and the kick panel there, underneath the little holder there. Getting all that stuff picked up. And we might have to do a second pass, but we definitely want to get all the big stuff first. We don't want to grind that in any more than we have to. And onto the rear left door panel. Again, Meguiar's all-purpose cleaner. 10-to-1, spray it on, scrub it gently. And look how good that door looks already before even dressing it. This is just cleaning the door, removing any layer of grime. And the rear doors, of course, are not as dirty as the front. I do not like to spray a whole bunch of cleaner onto the door. I'll do it a little bit, but I like to spray into the brush as well. I don't like to saturate the controls, and I don't like to spray it at the speaker. So if that makes sense, you can spray the cleaner onto the brush and then brush the door. So here we are with the VRP, applying that with just a microfiber towel. Really shines it up, evens out any little inconsistencies or imperfections, and just, that door panel looked like new. And finishing up the rear area, the backs of those seats, aside from the very top where there's fabric, the lower part of those are kind of a vinyl material, as well as the center console. And moving on to the right hand side, of course the trim there between the seats, or next to the front seat, that little vinyl there you see me addressing, kind of the trim around the door there. And finishing up that area. Some little cleaning to be done. And shining everything up with some VRP. I like that it has just a little bit of shine so you know where you've applied it and where you haven't. I'm not a fan of completely satin or completely matte finish where you literally can't tell where it's been added. I mean, the stuff will fade, so I like knowing where I've added it, whether it's on a dash or on a door. So here I am finishing up that door over there. I didn't show all the detail, but similar process to the left one. Again, moving back to front, we're finally into the front seat area, and that left front driver's area is obviously the dirtiest part of the car. And in Midwest winters, we get lots of sand and grit accumulating there. Sorry about that. I bumped the camera and lost my good camera angle. But we're vacuuming the front driver's area there, and there's a lot of sand and a lot of grit. It takes a little bit of scrubbing and a little bit of vacuuming to get all that out of there. It takes a little bit of patience. And finally, addressing the interior components there. The steering wheel does take a while. I sped this up quite a bit, as you can see. I'm going to use my tiny little brush and lots of all-purpose cleaner and mop up any of the residue with a microfiber towel. Steering wheels accumulate lots of oils from our skin, a lot of grime over the years, and you'll seriously see the texture come back. What looked like smooth vinyl, you can actually kind of see the lines or the texture, the little pebbled texture come back as you remove that grime. It'll actually feel different sometimes. So you've got to clean the turn signal stocks or the wiper stock. They'll have a little bit of grime on them. But just kind of go around the circumference of the wheel. And there's a little spot there between the wheel, kind of in the steering column. There's a little crack there, so I kind of stretch out the towel and kind of do a little shoe shine method there to get all the dust out of there. And spend a lot of time on the steering wheel because that's going to be where a lot of the grime is. And move the steering wheel up and down, turn it left and right if you need to access any parts of it. Don't forget behind it where it's a little harder to see. And the vents and controls over there using the soft interior brush. And touching up the vent. And to the exterior, I didn't film the passenger front. I didn't have a good camera angle on it, but no surprises there. Here's the exterior shine. So we're using Griot's Garage Correcting Cream and the associated orange pad. And I first did a test spot on the hood to see if I'd get any decent results with that. Most of these you're seeing I'm going to speed up or cut out some of the passes just because it's very boring to watch. But this one you can see pretty good mirror shine. I'm sorry that the garage doesn't have anything more interesting to look at in the reflection. It's just the the drywall ceiling with some patch holes in it. But I can tell that the shine was pretty much where we wanted it to be, so I proceeded to use that same combination. I'm using a Torque 22D long throw polisher with a 5.5 inch pad at the Griot's correcting pad and the Griot's Garage Correcting Cream, which works great and smells good. And so I chose to use that for the entire car. And I cranked up the speed to 4 or 5, and you can see I'm putting a little bit of pressure into it while still allowing the pad to spin as best I can, and produced really good results all around. I just recorded the hood here. And for all the areas of the car that are a little smaller, like the pillars or parts of the door where there's a smaller area, narrower edge, I used the Porter cable with a 3-inch adapter and a 3-inch orange pad. So this is just me finishing up the hood. Again, a great combination. I was not going for perfection. This is a daily driver car. It's not going to stay perfect, but the improvement was dramatic. We don't realize how these cars fade and pick up little scratches and swirls in 5 or 10 years. And just this little bit of attention, this one pass, really made an improvement. And I topped this product with blacklight. That would be Chemical Guy's blacklight. So we'll see how that holds up. It's designed for darker cars. There's some question out on the internet whether it's a sealant, a glaze, a mild polish, which would make it sort of an all-in-one. So if I find that the longevity isn't there, I'll apply something different. But for now, just going to kind of see how it holds up and whether it provides any protection or water beading. I can always add a different wax if I don't like what the black light is doing. Finally, here are some stills I took with my SLR. 50-50 shots of the hood. That's the fixed patch there, as well as the original on the left. So I'd say that's a pretty dramatic improvement. Not perfection, but a great improvement. Here's some interior shots. Before, a little dusty, and your typical grunge that accumulates in the console, around the shifters and everything. It's a high use area. If you're transporting food, anything else, you're going to get coffee stains and sticky and accumulated crumbs. So all that cleaned up pretty well. And your typical dust on the controls there. So here's the sequence of after shots. Cleaned up really nicely. It's a few years old, but this car looks really good.